Hello, Penny. Lovely to see you.
Good to see you. How you
see
doing?
each other sometimes, but it's nice to have Penny here. So we thought we'll just have a little bit of a chat and see how you've been during those times of coronavirus, coming out of it. So how have you experienced this time?
I've really enjoyed it, actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's been good. I've actually enjoyed being holed up. I'm an introvert, so it's actually been a great time.
Nice to be at home.
It's been nice to be at home. I've done a lot of studying, a lot of learning, and ended up taking a lot of my practice online, and which was unexpected.
Oh, wonderful. And, so that works quite well.
It's worked beautifully. Yeah, really enjoying it. It's good.
Oh, lovely. So, I mean, I've enjoyed being at home. I didn't like so much not seeing the girls. You've seen your kids?
Oh yeah, that's the hardest, isn't it?
Yeah. The isolation of not being able to contact people.
Yeah, but I think we've all got a bit expert on using Zoom and FaceTime.
And, have to use what's available.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people would have struggled with that, not connecting with others.
Yeah, very, very difficult. And I think too, there's grief as well in this time because there were so many family events that weren't able to happen. We missed birthdays,
couldn't do weddings, even funerals were restricted, and so that would have been hard.
It was quite a difficult time, I think, for many reasons. Not just that, giving up things that were precious, and maybe what we've done is had a new understanding of what's really important. Maybe we've just learning what we value,
especially connecting with one another.
Absolutely.
I guess.
And I think as things are opening up, isn't there joy when we get together as friends?
Yes. So, having clients, have you noticed a common theme? Have things changed for people? Like the kind of things they're struggling with?
Yeah, look, anxiety is really a big one. Yeah, and stress and depression.
Yes.
And I think this is something that we've been prepared for in kind of the mental health area, that there's been a lot of upskilling because we're understanding there's probably a wave that's going
to come out now.
Yeah, absolutely. And anxiety in normal, like there's what we call a generalized anxiety disorder, like in your lifetime.
So what's that?
Generalized, just that all of a sudden I'm getting anxious. Okay, there's no
about something. I'm not entirely sure what.
No, feelings of anxiety rise, and
I've had that though.
Yeah,
like every now and then, you feel stressed, and then you feel anxious about something. You're kind of, I'm not entirely sure what about, but I am anxious.
Yes, 1 in 6 people will experience that in their lifetime. It's really, really common.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to normalise that because I think sometimes
people
go, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
How come I can't cope? It's really, really normal. And in this situation, it's even more normal because we've got situational anxiety. Everybody in society is going
for a good reason.
Through.
Things keep changing. You don't know what to expect.
Yeah. And so many
people lose businesses, so there's finances. You
whether
can't
it's
connect
family,
with people.
Unemployment, whether it's relationship issues or the worrying about the
even
future.
health.
All of
health
those
reasons
things.
You're worried about your health. A lot of people
There's been fear.
Yeah. I've just spoken to the person who does our lawn, so that's been great having that done. But he said there were quite a few people that texted him not to come and mow the lawns because they were worried about him being on the property and just mowing the lawn. And it wasn't just older people. Yeah. So there is a lot of anxiousness and anxiety around.
Yeah, and I think it's settling down. But in the early days, do you remember that was really, really heightened? And I remember my mum was saying they've just moved into a retirement village, so lots of older people. And
they were quite
restricted. Were really, really, really scared because at that point we really didn't know much, and it was very much the older people were at greater risk, and there were people in the village that were taking meals to somebody else, and others would say, "Oh, I can see you in the street," and they were social distancing, they were doing all the right thing, but there was this almost being reported, like there was such a fear. That was hanging around.
I can imagine. But have you found, was it younger people, older people, mostly older people, or was it younger people too that are experiencing anxiety? Everyone?
I think it's everybody.
Yeah,
I think it's everybody. And, it's an interesting time at the moment because we are coming out of like in a sense, all of a sudden everything got locked down, right? And there was then a new normal, and we kind of all knew. All right, now we're shut down.
And you almost get used to that.
Yeah,
you don't want to move out. I've heard quite a few people sort of say now they're used to the lockdown and they're quite happy staying like this.
Yeah, and for some people it's actually, I enjoyed it. Like I think a lot of introverts enjoyed it.
Yeah.
People who had social anxiety actually, in a sense, it was safe. There was a safety.
Yeah.
But now we're moving back into this time of transition, and change is hard.
Yeah.
I don't know that many people cope with change terribly well.
Yeah.
It's okay if you know, like if you've got a goal and you're changing towards a goal, but we don't even know what
the goal is.
The goal is. We don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
So it's really challenging for everybody, I think.
So if any of our listeners are experiencing anxiety, are there any things that we can do, focus on that would help us?
Oh, look, lots and lots of strategies.
Yeah.
And look, I think lots and lots of things to talk about. Here's the first one. What tends to happen is our primitive brain kicks in and we have this fight, flight, freeze response.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when we have that? Actually, our capacity to think actually goes away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but do most people tend towards the flight rather than the fight?
Well, I think it's
really.
I think it's a personality thing, And we for a long time we talked, fight, flight, but I'm noticing a lot of people I know freeze.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know what to do. It's sort of it shuts everything down, and it actually shuts down our ability to problem solve. As well.
Yeah.
So it's almost like
you're
basically
stuck in that situation.
Yeah. And so we become very reactive as well.
Yeah.
And here's a really quick technique is actually breathing, deep breathing.
Okay.
It actually slows everything down because the fight, flight, freeze response actually is motivating it to action. But the other part of that is we want to move into a rest and relax mode. Yeah. And when we're rested and relaxed, actually, that's when we can think as well. Yeah. So it's funny how and
start dealing with the issue at hand.
Yeah. So people talk about meditation and all sorts of things, but actually just breathing. Yeah. Is really helpful, actually.
Yeah. Well, I found, sometimes there's a situation that we can't change, like with the coronavirus, you can't really change much. And at the beginning, was it this year, at the beginning of the year, when my mum broke her leg, and I went over to assist her, and I was really worried about her. She did not look well. I was worried about her passing away on me. And I felt a little bit left alone over there, just by myself. But what really helped me was getting out of the house. I was so exhausted because I had to get up at night as well. So I forced myself to go outside. Usually I go running. I didn't have the energy for that, but I thought just going for a walk actually really did help. Because, I don't know, it clears your mind and you get a different perspective, but I found that sort of kept me a little bit sane.
Yeah, absolutely. And you wouldn't be surprised to find out they've done some research around, dealing with depression and anxiety. Yeah. And you know that spending 30 minutes in nature every day is equally as good as anything.
Oh, there you go.
There's just something about being calm.
And that's something you can easily do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, that's, I think, even when everything locked down, we were still told, you can get out and exercise because, and that's the temptation, isn't it, was to kind of hole up in your house. Yeah. But actually it was really important to get out and just walk or just sit in the garden or whatever.
And I guess the other one is that is one thing that was taken away from us, but connecting with one another. We were in isolation, but it is possible to connect online, with your clients. Yeah. So when you're depressed or when you're anxious, it is actually good to talk to someone, isn't it? I find it helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
And someone can just go, it's going to be okay. Just have a little bit of affirmation. I need that sometimes.
So I was just reminded, we had online Bible study this morning, and we ended up in this particular verse, and we landed in the middle of a whole chapter in Matthew 6 that was all about worry.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, so I thought that was just really interesting because
Let's see if we can pull that
yeah,
up.
pull it up.
So that's Matthew 6. I should have brought my Bible, that's quicker. Matthew 6. I'm getting there. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds in the air, they do not sow or reap or gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?
It's so encouraging, isn't it? Because I think in this time, you know, there's this concern about what's the future going to hold, and we're told that, you know, God knows what we need.
Yeah,
you know?
but they seem to have had the same issues back then, 2,000 years ago, like just borrowing.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I find comforting too, like in this time everything's changing, and we're kind of not always in control of how things are going to develop, but God is always in control, and God is not changing.
That's right.
So when we focus on God, we've got one stable element in our lives that is unchangeable and that we can rely on, that we can trust. So how much more important is it to actually get together as a church family and remind ourselves of that?
Yeah. It's great.
Via Zoom or
it's great. We've got a God that we can trust.
We have a God that we can trust.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's what we'll leave you here, leave you today with that thought that even though, you know, you may be anxious, but God is unchanging, He's in control, and when we trust Him, we can trust that He's in charge of our lives. We do not worry. We can throw all our anxiety and our worries onto Him. So, yeah, we'll leave you with that thought for today and wish you a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.